What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick to Quick with me. It's Monday, so we're recapping the Chicago Bears 38-20 loss at home week 1 to the Green Bay Packers. We'll jump right into it. Big Nick to Quick, how you doing?
How we feeling, man? NFL's back. Bears are back.
Bears are back. NFL is back. And then tomorrow we'll be back to talk about the week that was in the NFL. But we're going to recap every Bears game throughout the year because
Fortunately,
we're Bears fans, and that's what we're going to do. And it's some additional content y'all can break down. Now, I was wondering, Nick, how seriously I was going to take this episode. Am I gonna really let go with how I really feel, or is this just it is what it is? We did have the worst record in the NFL last year. We're still growing. We're still trying to get there. I have a few thoughts that, of course, I'm going to get off, but I want to come to you first, of course. 38-20 at the crib in week 1. Vibes coming in were high. I actually called Big Nick the Quick before kickoff, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes before kickoff. I said, hey, man, not on wax, me and you, how do you really feel about this game, about the Chicago Bears coming in week 1, all the moves Ryan Poles has made, adding DJ Moore, moving the first pick, adding Tremaine Edmonds, adding TJ Edwards. Eddie Jackson is still playing safety. How do we feel coming into the game? Big Nick the Quick did not flinch, and he said, I feel good. Coming in, I feel confident. I haven't felt like this in a while. It feels like we're going in the right direction. Big Nick the Quick, how do you feel right now after the game?
yeah. So I mean, like I said, you hit it. You summed it up perfectly. We talked yesterday. Going into this year, really, I could say the last couple of years watching the Bears, I haven't been as emotionally invested in the sense that I knew that they weren't trying to win. Right, last year it was very clear that they weren't trying to win. And then the year before that was that last year, Nagy. And once we signed, what was our guys, Andy Dalton, and made him the starting quarterback, I knew that trying to win or build for anything towards the future was not the plan. So it was easy to kind of put them to the side, focus on the rest of the league, be a fan, watch the games, but not really have it affect my mood. Going into this year, and we talked about it yesterday, I felt good, man, because the things that we didn't have the last couple of years, it seems like we addressed them, right? It seems like there was a plan. It seems like we had a plan to develop our quarterback. It seems like we had a plan to shore up our offensive line. It seems like we had a plan to bring in some guys on defense and also bring in some playmakers on offense, adding a number 1 wide receiver, right? I didn't think that this team was going to go 13-4 or anything like that. I didn't even think that maybe we'd be a playoff team, but I thought that we'd just start seeing that actual progress, right? Like last year was like, hey, can Justin Fields look like a competent quarterback? This year it's like, hey, can we start seeing some actual progress, right? If we could have a Detroit Lions last year type season, I'd be happy. But after watching that yesterday, man, it's more of the same. It really is, right? And you were on it early, and I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. But when you come out with these short screen passes and just not taking any chances, and it seems like you just don't trust Justin Fields to do anything, and that continues for the entire game. Not to mention defensively, we're awful. Right? Like I thought Flus was supposed to be a defensive guy. I thought this defense was going to play a lot better. I was worried after seeing him in the preseason. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Malik Willis led a touchdown drive on us, so I knew we might have some issues there. But I didn't expect it to. I didn't expect it to look like that. I mean, Aaron Jones was doing whatever he wanted to. The linebackers in coverage were absolutely brutal. And just overall, man, like the high that I was on going into the game was so dead by like the first quarter that it just reminded me of the same old Bears, man. Like, I don't know.
I will say
I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's one game. I get all that. It's one game. Like, whatever. Listen, man, we were expecting to see a lot more. And it doesn't help when you look at the other side of the ball and they have a guy in Jordan Love who's clearly developing, right? I didn't think he was perfect yesterday, but he made some plays. If I'm a Packers fan, I can look at that and be like, okay, I could see how this can get better. Watching with the Bears, it's like, I don't really know where we go. We still can't protect this guy. Right, so he's still running for his life back there. He doesn't look comfortable. The team doesn't look comfortable, and the play callers aren't comfortable.
Let's go back to the play calling and Luke Getsy and the offense in general, Justin Fields. First things first. I want to go talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kenny Pickett because this is an example of something that it speaks volumes to me. I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers because I had money on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the only L I took yesterday, actually. Shout out Novak Djokovic. He got the bread back. He took care of business. But what I'm getting at is it's very clear that the Pittsburgh Steelers and their offense trusts Kenny Pickett to go downfield. Every other throw for Kenny Pickett is 15 plus yards down the field. I know he has a couple more weapons with Pickens and Deontay.
Are you talking about Calvin Megatron, George Pickens?
Hey, he had a one-hand catch out of bounds.
No, the way they talked about in the offseason, it's like this guy's a mesh between Megatron, Randy Moss. And T.O.
It is true. But what I'm getting at is they trust and believe that Kenny Pickett grasped the offense enough to go downfield and push it downfield, and they trust him to push it downfield. Similarly to San Francisco and Trey Lance, what it came down to is that, hey, I trust Brock Purdy in the offense more than I do Trey Lance. Move Trey Lance the fuck up out of here. He can leave. As soon as I saw the first two drives, I called Nick. I said, yo, look, clearly, I don't know if it's happening in practice or it's happening in the meeting room. There's no reason why the Bears are not opening up the offense and pushing it downfield other than the fact that they don't believe Justin Fields is going to be successful doing so. You could look at the game last night in New York. Brian Daboll is an offensive killer. He is still in some ways trying to protect Daniel Jones. It jumps off the page in the screen when I'm watching the Bears on offense in the preseason and in the regular season now in week one that they are worried if they start to open up this offense, they either don't have the offensive line up front to protect Justin. Maybe that's why they're also not going downfield, or they don't trust Justin to open it up. The biggest thing here for me is that you go and get DJ Moore, and you're not even throwing him these bullshit short passes. If he had 37 attempts, Nick.
DJ Moore had 2 targets.
2 targets for DJ Moore. Justin Fields threw the ball almost 40 times yesterday.
Yeah.
And only 2, I think either 2 or 3 were longer than 10 yards. And by the way, they were both completed. One for a touchdown and one went for a big chunk of yards.
One was a pick. You talking about 20 over 20 or over 10?
Over 10.
Over 10, yeah.
Over 10.
He had 3 passes over 10. One was a pick, one was the Mooney touchdown, and another one was an incompletion. But out of 37 attempts, 3 of them were over 10 yards, which is insane.
Yes.
In 2023 NFL football.
So it might be that interception is more of what they're seeing than not. And they're worried about that. That's why they're going horizontally and not up and down the field. But if you're going to do all the horizontal shit, DJ Moore needs to touch the ball as much as humanly possible. You made sure he was the guy included in the trade when you traded the number 1 pick to Carolina. Get him the rock. Yeah. So what I saw in week 1 overall was there's something going on with the offense that Luke Getsy doesn't trust Justin Fields having either enough time for plays to develop downfield or for Justin Fields to open it up and throw it downfield. The last thing I'm going to say, I'm going to give it back to you, Nick. Justin Fields' best attribute on offense right now is being able to use his legs and make something happen and being able to get upfield and run and open it up. You cannot do that unless you have a 5 to 7 step drop and try to let things develop. That's what I don't understand. If you're worried that he's going to turn it over, I guess I get that, but give him an opportunity to go through his progressions, have an opportunity to push it downfield, and then if that doesn't work out, he could still use his legs and get out and make plays in the open field. Cutting off his ability to grow and go downfield and his ability to open it up and take off and run and pick up chunks of yards by throwing it horizontally and behind the line of scrimmage, left and right, and not throw it to his biggest weapon in DJ Moore is mind-boggling. I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you're not taking advantage of what he does well. Like you said, you're kind of limiting him. And if his number one skill is his feet and the ability to improvise and make plays, and that's what these defenses are scared of, right? That's what these defenses are scared of. They can pick apart that screen shit all day. And to your point, if you're gonna do that, involve DJ Moore, right? Involve DJ Moore. Involve Cole Kmet. We gave this guy $50 million. $50 million. Him and Fields had some good rapport at the end of last year. Involve him. It just seemed like the play calling was incredibly unimaginative. It was boring, right? There was no risk involved. And I think part of it does have to be that they don't trust the offensive line. It was clearly a priority to get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible, as short as possible, so that no one could get back there. And like you said, maybe lead to him throwing an interception or taking a 15-yard sack like he did in the second quarter, or whatever it is that could happen, right? Like clearly you don't trust something about your offense, whether it's the protection, whether it's Fields. I can't sit here and believe that it's the guys that you have on the field, because you would assume you trust DJ Moore. You'd assume you trust Kmet, right? Like these are supposed to be your guys. But it just seems like they went back there, and no matter what the down or distance was, he knew what he was going to do. Screen pass, short, everything in front of us, everything in front of 10 yards, and we're not even going to attempt to go downfield. The Mooney touchdown was beautiful, right? It was beautiful. Too little, too late, but it was beautiful. You can incorporate more of that. He got that out quick, right? Like you can incorporate some more of that. So like, to your point, man, it just feels like they don't trust it. And it's kind of like, well, what's the point? We got to see something. Like we're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year. You either got to come out of this year knowing that this is your guy or not. And you got to give him an opportunity to do it. To throw it 37 times and only have 216 yards passing is criminal in 2023 NFL. That's 5.8 yards per attempt. That's insane. The game is designed for guys to open up. You're seeing Tua throw for 500 yards yesterday. You're seeing Herbert spray the ball all over the field yesterday, right? And it's just another week goes by where you watch all these other quarterbacks put up numbers, and then when it comes to the Chicago Bears, it's nothing. Even Bryce Young had some throws yesterday. Even my man out there who's my man from Florida in Indianapolis, they trusted him to do something.
Anthony Richardson.
That guy can't complete a pass. He completed 50% of his passes in the preseason. But they're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to take him out there and see what this kid can do. And you can't sit here and tell me that he's rocking behind some awesome offensive line with grade A skill position players. His best player is not even on the field. You won't see him till week 5. So you see other teams try, and it's just the lack of trying for me. And you were on it early, and I tried to give the benefit of the doubt. I was like, nah, man, maybe they want to get him in a rhythm. Sometimes, they talk about it with basketball players. You just want to see the ball go through the hoop a couple times, couple easy looks here, get you into your rhythm, and then we can go into some harder shit. I thought that's what it was. I thought these were those easy layups, right? Those easy little pin downs. You'll come off, get me 2, and then now I'm in my rhythm, right? That's not what it was. It just stayed that way the entire game. And then, listen, man, I know the focal point of most of these episodes is going to be Justin Fields because that's why we're here. But we can't not talk about the defense. Defensively, that was disgusting. Disgusting. I think Aaron Jones had a 35-yard catch, a 37-yard catch, and a 51-yard catch. All off busted coverages. That screen pass that he took 51 yards, incredible. Incredible. The touchdown that he got. Not the rushing touchdown, the receiving touchdown. Incredible TJ Edwards breakdown in coverage. So, I mean...
You want to talk about Eddie Jackson for a little quick second?
Who? If he's not forcing a turnover, he does nothing. He's worthless.
Yeah, he doesn't hit.
Nobody.
He can't cover.
Nobody.
He now has a captain patch on his chest,
where did that come from?
Which is shocking.
Shocking.
The biggest thing about the defense is he got paid and he shouldn't have. Well, let me walk that back a second. When he got paid, he was worth that money, but he was playing with Adrian Amos, and Adrian Amos covered up. That was a perfect match at the safety slots for the Bears. Adrian Amos did all the hard work, hit all the people, and Eddie Jackson would just come clean up everything. And he's good. He's good with the rock in his hand when he gets it. Like, he can make plays, and he's a ball hawk guy. But when it comes to the fundamentals, which this team that has so many young players on the defensive side of the rock too needs, he just gets exposed all the time, over and over. And this is going on multiple years now. Now,
trucked in the running game, beat in the passing game consistently.
Now, if we go back to the Eberflus hire, he was a defensive guy. This whole hits philosophy. Hey, you know what I'm starting to believe, Nick? With anybody that pulls up with a philosophy, I don't want nothing to do with him.
So what because you want to know? Wait. What about your man's then? What about your man's up in Florham Park? That guy's full of philosophies.
Who talking about?
Robert Saleh. Everything's a full. Everything's a full. God damn it, they gotta play us too.
But what I'm getting at is anybody that pulls up with a acronym, hits. Sure. This, that, and the third. I think I'm starting to pull. As soon as I hear that, my shit's starting to perk. I'm like, he in here, coach. This is that coach speak bullshit that we used to hear from BU hits. Nah, man, the philosophy is.
How is that different than leaders and dogs, though?
Hey, because they're winning games. You understand what I'm saying? you see the difference?
Yeah.
So,
sure.
But what I'm getting at is a guy that was coming in, was a defensive guy first out of Indianapolis. And if you go back and look at Eberflus's record as a defensive guy, the defenses, they weren't fucking lights out.
No.
They weren't very good. So that was always a head scratcher as a hire, I think, altogether. But
it's a really good run defenses in Indy with Darius Leonard and those guys. But yeah.
Sure. In a passing league. So
yeah, no way.
In a passing league, he's good on run defense. Yeah. Okay. What I'm getting at is we're still in a little bit of the benefit of the doubt era because we're on the trust Ryan Poles era. But overall, you can go back. It's on wax. I didn't love the Eberflus hire overall. I wanted an offensive guy. But if you're a defensive guy, that has to be a mainstay. You have to have guys that are competing. And Brisker's a talent. I love the way the rookie Stevenson played from corner position. He was great. Eddie Jackson is clearly a guy. I understand you paid him, but he's clearly a guy that just is not – he's just not a good NFL safety. He's not an above a replacement level safety. Period.
Especially at that money is the issue too. You're spending a lot of money on Eddie Jackson when it's clear your number one focus should be developing a pass rush on that defense. There's no pass rush to be found.
There's no pass rush to be
none at all. Because that's why they can do whatever they want. That's why they're getting 50 yards on the screen. Like there's no pass rush at all. You know, I like that you brought in Yannick Ngakoue or however you say his name. Like, great, that's fine.
Yannick Ngakoue.
And that was also my. Well, let's go back to the trade for DJ Moore. That's why I was just like, are we sure? Right? Are we sure we just don't want to take Will Anderson and just call it a day? Because
I see what you're saying.
And remember, I was just on that. I was like, are we devaluing pass rushers in this conversation? Understanding that, look, that's the second or third most important position in the NFL. We talk about it all the time. Quarterbacks, tackles, pass rushers, corners. Start there.
Need them.
Right? Start there. Everything else is just let's figure it out. But you get those four positions, that's key, right? So and you're turning down a pass rusher in Will Anderson. And I wasn't going to take Jalen Carter number one. But you know, it's again like if you have a guy who's considered to be a generational talent in that role, and that's the role that you're looking for right now, why not just take him?
Yeah, I mean, I think you had to package up as much as you can get for the one.
Sure,
so
I'm just saying.
I get why you moved out of it, but
if Will Anderson gets 17 sacks this year, it's if he turns into Derek Watt or TJ Watt, if he turns into fucking Bosa, these conversations are moot points. If he turns into Micah Parsons, it doesn't matter that you didn't get all you wanted for the number one pick.
Micah Parsons is a fucking monster, dog.
Yeah, when you have one, and when you have one of these guys, it's a problem. You want to talk about covering up areas in which you're deficient. You want to talk about helping out Eddie Jackson. When was Eddie Jackson at his best? With Khalil fucking Mack. Why? Because Khalil Mack was disrupting everything, forcing quarterbacks into errant throws, and that's where Eddie Jackson feasts. So again, I get like making that deal, but at the same time, like a dominant pass rusher changes your entire
for
defense.
Sure. And
that's why Nick Bosa just got 160, 170 million. I don't know what it was. That's why Micah Parsons is going to break the bank for defensive contracts.
But what? Yeah, no question, Nick. And you're right, and you're
The
dead
Bosa
on.
brothers are
And I
rich.
agree with you. And if you go back to the episode before the NFL season, we talked about expectations for the Bears and Justin Fields. And for me, we were coming in a little too hot. We were happy about the moves that Ryan Poles made, but it was still the worst team in the NFL coming into its second year under an offense for Justin Fields. So we kind of tapered that off. And I said, no matter what, for me, Justin Fields should start all 17, and then we can look at him and decide from a full body of work if you want to even start to think about moving off this dude. So that's still where I'm at. It's still game one. But I don't understand. You know what the biggest thing for Chicago and their sports franchises is that there always seems to be a disconnect on what we support and what we want to see from our fucking teams. And the fucked up part is for Chicago guys like us, the bar is kind of low. Come out and give a bunch of effort and try to do shit. Like I said, Nick, if Justin Fields was 20 of 41 and they were pushing that bitch downfield and he had 3 picks, it's still a different conversation. I don't know if Justin Fields can consistently go downfield or not because we continue week in, week out to never open it up. So I don't know the answer to the question. Joakim Noah is one of the most beloved Bulls of the last 20 years because he had no fucking talent and he played his ass off. And you know what I mean by no talent.
It's a strong statement. Yeah,
he had a ton of talent.
He didn't score a lot of points.
You know what the fuck I'm saying.
Your traditional guys, he didn't score a lot of points. Yeah.
He had a ton of talent, but he had more work hard than talent.
Yeah, for sure.
All right? Simple as that. He got every ounce out of his God-given talent and ability because he worked hard, he showed up, and he played. People love Luol Deng because he almost died playing for the Bulls.
Yeah, shout out.
Like this is a mute point. This is what Chicago guys and people want to see out of their athletes.
And don't continue a lot of money from the Lakers on the way out. By the way,
don't continue. That was unnecessary. Like he was worth
$70 million.
Who cares? Who cares about that? Let Luol, shout out
Luol Deng. Put on one of these.
Shout out Luol Deng and his family,
shout out
man.
To Sudan, man.
Forget that bread from the Lakers.
Absolutely. We will never hate.
Ever. Shout out Luol Deng for getting that bread from the Lakers.
Family's better for it. But yes, you're 100% right.
What I'm getting at is you got to show up and try, and we'll get behind it. DJ Moore was shocked they were booing. What you don't understand, DJ, is we've been looking at this shit for decades. This is not booing because it's the second quarter of a new season. My man, we've been watching. I've seen this movie 30 years. That's it. So.
And with the conservative approach too, it's not like this is keeping you in ball games. I mean, it's only one game, but it's not like playing that way was your best way to win. You were getting ran. So it's like, why not try something else? You're going to lose anyways. Like at one point, it was after that touchdown, after the Mooney touchdown, at that point, you should have just said, fuck it. Let's just open it up. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can get back in this game. Because going back to Dinkin and Duncan, you weren't going to win anyway. So what's the point?
Oh, hey. Let's talk Chase Claypool.
Who?
Want nothing to do with this fucking guy.
He sucks, dude.
No, but it's not about that. Clearly could give a fuck about what's going on.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. Sure, I'll see him for a couple more weeks. But there's a reason, and this also, it means more because Mike Tomlin let him go.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. Yep. If he can't fix him.
If Mike Tomlin... A guy that we know Chase Claypool.
There's talent.
Talent is there. It's the other things that are the issue. If Mike Tomlin sees that and lets him walk out the door, an early 20s wide receiver with uber mega talent, mega size, mega frame.
When you had no offensive weapons outside of Najee Harris.
Apparently can do it all. And then he can get a 1 for him. He shipped him out ASAP. That makes me it makes the situation as a whole look a lot worse to me. He didn't look like he was engaged. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. Now, that may be because the offense, his role and the package of the offense is poor, but you still got to show up and have effort.
Chase Claypool doesn't have the luxury of making the choice as to whether or not he's going to try hard on a Sunday based on the offensive game plan. You're not Randy Moss.
Right. That's a Randy Moss playbook.
That was a Randy Moss. Oh, you're not. I'm just gonna run. I fucking.
Oh yeah, y'all not gonna throw me the rock.
You listen.
Don't trip.
Don't trip. Did he say that? He's like, I go 70% if I'm not getting the ball. He said some crazy shit. He was like, yeah, I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm not blocking anybody.
Gonna throw me the rock.
If you're not throwing me the rock, I'm gonna go out here and jog, get some calisthenics in. But yeah, he's not in a position to make that deal, or I'm sorry, to make that decision to where he's not gonna try hard. He needs to be involved. You would trade you for a second round pick. Again, this is a team that doesn't have a whole bunch of weapons. You should be featuring. And if you care about your career, it was a high 2. It was like 33. So it's damn near a first rounder with a cheaper contract, essentially, is what it is. But you have an opportunity here to like really resurrect your career, because it's not like you're battling out a whole bunch of blue chips at wide receiver. It's DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and then you. And if that's how you're going to show up, you're just going to goose egg. I saw a quote, someone said he looked like he was just a zombie out there. We don't need that.
Did you see the attempted block on the screen?
No.
Oh my! What?
I probably did, but
I'll send that to you. You should look that up while we're on here. Go look up.
Not trying.
No. You're going to be shocked when you see this. It's completely unbelievable. So look that up, and then I want to talk about one more point that actually we hopped on the phone last night and talked about. We are in a very unique situation, the Chicago Bears, that our last 2 quarterbacks, or I should say our last 2 coaches, inherited both of the quarterbacks. When
I just watched it.
Fox.
That's a special block.
I mean, it's just incredible shit.
He got trucked by a DB.
I mean, he just it was like it was like almost like he didn't know the play was coming his way. It was really weird.
Just throwing like a bullshit block.
So let's talk about this for a second, because I haven't heard anybody bring this up, and I think it's a really interesting angle on the overall Chicago Bears and their situation. John Fox is the coach of the Chicago Bears when we draft Mitchell Trubisky. He is then fired, and we add Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy inherits Mitchell Trubisky. Brian pulls the trigger, makes the trade, goes and gets Justin Fields, and then lets Nagy be the coach for another year. The Chicago Bears organization lets Matt Nagy be the coach for another year, as completely a dead man walking. Everybody in the world knows he's getting fired after the end of the season, and no matter what happens.
But because Poles wasn't there yet, was he? Poles and Flus came together, I thought.
They did. What?
Yeah, okay.
Did I say? I should have said Pace.
Pace, yeah.
Yeah. So my fault. Yeah. So the Bears organization lets Ryan Pace make the deal to go get Justin Fields and keep Matt Nagy on for an additional year. And essentially, we talked about it at the time, they punted on the entire season before it started. We were going into the year dead man walking. It was dust before it started. We knew we were going to be bad, and we knew at the end of the year we were going to fire Nagy purely on the fact that the Chicago Bears didn't want to pay 2 coaches. So we keep on Matt Nagy, and we give Justin Fields the first year under that regime, which was a mistake. He gets fired. Then we get Poles. Ryan Poles then hires Eberflus, who then inherits a quarterback. What I say that to say this: it's a very tough situation when a coach and a GM who are fighting for their career have a very easy scapegoat sitting right on the sideline. And he's the starting quarterback, Justin Fields. And their way out is, hey, we inherited this guy. We didn't pick this guy. We didn't necessarily want this guy, even if they thought he had talent or not. That's how this shit starts to trickle when you let Matt Nagy come hang around for an extra year. Instead of having a new regime, a new coach, a new GM, pick their new quarterback that they're going to go to war for or war with for the next 3 to 4 years. They inherit a guy, and it becomes a built-in scapegoat. Is that going to happen to Justin Fields? We will see. But if he continues to play the way he's been playing and the way he's been getting an opportunity to play under Getsy and not being able to do anything and go upfield, the rumblings are going to start. We talked about this last year, Nick. He needs to start putting some performances together that are solid just to get people to relax a little bit.
So we haven't really criticized him yet this morning. So we're yeah, I think
because
and I don't know if that's where you're headed, or are we too easy on Fields because we're constantly saying it's this, it's that, it's that, it's this, it's this, it's not him? Or does he deserve some of that for yesterday because there were some opportunities in which he could have made a play and he didn't? Where are we on that? If we're being completely honest? I know we both really want we really want him to work out. Yes. So I think like times I'm blinded by it, like, you know, and obviously like I give a pass on last year and a lot of that shit, but like if it continues to look like this, where do we go? Like,
I already said, I honestly think this is the first calendar season where he's had a legitimate shot to be just solid. So, like I said, I am starting Justin Fields all 17 this year. If he throws 40 interceptions, I don't care. I'm starting him every game, all 17. It's his second year in the offense under Getsy. Now, this is also the issue when you let guys like Matt Nagy hang around for an extra year. If we fire Getsy and go get another guy, or fire Eberflus and get another guy, then it's his third offense in 4 seasons. That's a massive fucking problem. Jordan Love looked, just like Nick said, Jordan Love looked solid. He didn't jump off the page. He had some big throws, had 3 touchdowns, but he wasn't.
He missed some too.
He wasn't spectacular. He was solid though. He has been behind Aaron Rodgers and with Matt LaFleur for 3 fucking years in a row under the same system, same offense, same everything. This is the first year I believe Justin Fields has even had a shot to be okay. So yeah, this is I'm not going to slander Justin because I think there's a lot of holes on the roster still. I also don't know if he can go upfield because they don't throw it upfield. But that's what I was getting at the start of the pod, Nick. It does make me a little nervous that, listen, offensive guys want to go upfield too. It's not like Getsy wants to throw it horizontally as well.
Yeah,
let's be clear here. It's not like Getsy.
He's not sitting up at night designing screen passes.
Yes, exactly. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where it makes me a little nervous that, okay, he is clearly seeing that if I let Justin off the leash, it might not go as well. So I'm going to try to tail it back a little bit and get things going. That's exactly what Dayball did with Daniel Jones last year. And the difference, this is the difference. Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, I think there's hesitancy to let them open it up and go downfield. And then with new coaches, new system, guys like Tua, immediately they're going downfield and they're opening it up. Guys like Kenny Pickett in year 2. I don't know if it's true or not, but someone trusts him and thinks that he can make the throws and run the offense and go downfield.
Or Mike's like, fuck it, we're going to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, or Mike's like, hey, listen, we either got a guy or we don't, and I'm not going to sit here and bullshit and pussyfoot around it. He's going to throw the ball. I don't care if we get annihilated every week. Somehow we're still going to win 9 ball games, and we're going to figure out if Kenny Pickett's a guy or not. So, yeah, no doubt about it, man.
You feel like he deserves a little bit of slander?
Fields, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, absolutely he deserves some slander, dude. It's not like they're out there. Yeah, man, he's still out there playing. He's still out there, has the opportunity to make plays, and he didn't make any outside of the play to Mooney. The interception was egregious, and there were plenty of opportunities that he had. He's still, man, and it's one of those things. Every time you point out a flaw of his, it's so easy to come back, but hey, this is why. It's like he still looks jittery in the pocket because his offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
His offensive line sucks, right? So it's kind of like, how can he be comfortable if you're constantly feeling that pressure, right? And he already wants to run. So it's not like he's really trying to get super comfortable in the pocket. I don't think you were out, right? But I don't think you watched Alabama and Texas on Saturday night. But Alabama's quarterback, hey, listen, bro. The second anyone was coming towards him,
he was out of
it was tucking. I'm out of here. Nope, I'm out of here. I might do a half a read before I'm tucking and running. Yeah. And I just feel like, yeah, I mean, maybe, and that might be where Fields is at. And obviously, I don't think they did him any favors as far as not really calling any designed runs for him yesterday. right?
I
Like
don't
move him.
see. We talked about that too, man. He had 160 attempts last year. Cam Newton.
So you don't call a design run this year?
No, I'm not saying that, but we can't be calling them all the time.
That's 10 per game. You don't got to call it 10 per game.
It's a yeah,
Move him out then. Move him
yeah.
out then. Move him out then. I mean, you watch Philly, they're not going to say, hey, Hurts rushed the ball more than any quarterback last year, so we're not going to move him around again this year. If that's what he does, that's what he does. You don't need to turn him into a running back, but again, call the design runs play. That reminds me of Mitch, right? Remember year 2 of Mitch? Feet were great. That's all he could really do. And then we go into year 3, and it's like, hey, we're literally not going to run him at all. And that's what I would worry about. So yeah, another note: Velus Jones Jr. inactive yesterday. I was wondering that. Yeah, that's a massive miss.
Yeah,
at a 3rd round pick, who you drafted to be a punt and kick returner, and in his 2nd year is inactive in week 1 because he can't hold on to the fucking ball.
Nick, do you remember the scouting report we laughed at about?
Wasn't he like 30?
Velus Jones scouting report coming out of Tennessee.
Another one that Eli hated.
The quote was still raw, learning to be a wide receiver. He was like 24.
He was like 24 or 25.
And I was like,
it's like,
oh my God, what are we doing?
What is he still learning? What part of it does he not understand yet?
Literally, there's Justin Jefferson is like 19, 20, and he's like the top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. This dude is 40 years older, and he doesn't know how to play the position that we're drafting him for.
Coming out of the SEC.
Probably not a good idea.
But he's fast.
But he's quick.
Yeah. Literally can't hold on to the ball. It's almost like you might as well just have cut him. He's not going to learn how to hold on to the ball over the next 16 weeks. So I thought that was interesting. So, I mean, yeah, stuff like that is when you're going to start looking at Ryan Pauls and being like, hey. And the football after show guys, I don't know if you ever watch it's like Wanstead, Alex Brown, and Lance Briggs. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't get it out here.
Yeah, so, you need to grab that. It's hilarious. It's just old timers. But they were talking about these guys, the offensive line doesn't practice together. He's like, that's a huge problem. Wanstead is super old school, but he's like, I think that 2 out of the 5 guys haven't been practicing together on the line. Essentially, the offensive line, the 5 guys have not been practicing together over these past few weeks due to injuries or different things. Didn't all play in the preseason games. Okay. Yeah, a lot of different things. But yeah, so there's just no continuity there, which on the offensive line, that's the most important thing you can have. Yeah,
no question. Hey, if you want to laugh, go to the comments. Shout out my guy KM in the comments. Go look at the first comment from the stream. First question.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Not a chance. What? That man does not win football games. That's Sean's boy. If you picture a year of Sean with Pat Fitzgerald as his head coach of his team.
You probably don't know me that well. I'm a negative Pat Fitzgerald guy. I've been calling for Pat Fitzgerald to be reprimanded for years, and that wouldn't work out for the Chicago Bears, and it might be that sounds like
I know JM is J Money, but
it might be a troll comment for sure.
Yeah, Pat Fitzgerald. He's coaching at Loyola right now.
Yes, his son is there.
His son is over there.
Yeah. Any thoughts before we get out of here? Hey, I'm actually going to week 2 in Tampa, which is interesting. I spent quite a bit of money.
I was going to say, is that an in and out? Because I've never heard of anything to do in Tampa. I've heard
my guy John Henson is down there. He's from there, so he's from like, Tampa? Come down. Yeah, John Henson's from Tampa.
Does he live in Tampa?
He lives in Tampa. Yeah.
What does he do?
So he's the man down there. So I'm gonna go down to Tampa. I'm gonna go check out the game. I'm gonna do a vlog for the channel for everybody to check out. But I spent quite a bit of money to go down there. We got some 6 seats. We're gonna have field access. We're gonna do the whole thing, do it right, and hopefully they come up and they show up and compete. Early underdog +3 right now. So
I need you to get him to tell that. You need to get him to tell that jewelry story on air where they call the cops on him in Milwaukee. Do you remember this?
Henson and Drew. No, I don't.
He went somewhere in Milwaukee to go buy like a Rolex, and they didn't believe that he was like a rich dude, and they called the cops on him in some jewelry store. It was like a big deal when it happened. He went to like some wealthy suburb in Milwaukee, and went to go buy like a rollie or some shit like that. Walked in and like he was like sweats, chilling, whatever. And they
Yeah.
called the cops on him. It was like a big deal.
I didn't even know that. I'm gonna hit him. I'll definitely
Yeah.
ask him that. All right. Anything else before we get out of here? 0-1 to start the year, and it was a very pitiful performance.
No.
We'll probably talk about it quite a bit coming up, leading up to week 2. But
We got Baker Mayfield.
I'll say this, man: the pressure is on for the effort to be completely ratcheted up multiple levels in week 2 here in Tampa Bay. It's going to be hot down there. Baker Mayfield is going to give you some opportunities, and they're 1-0. By the way, they went to Minnesota and got a W. So, you know what's funny, Nick? This is the last point before we get out of here. Minnesota Vikings are completely out in the open in the middle of a rebuild. Kirk Cousins is going to make the rest of his money this year. He's going to be a free agent, and he's going to fleece somebody for $35 million a year next year. It's going to be. I'm trying to think of who it's going to be. It's going to be like the fucking the Bucks. It's gonna be somebody. It's gonna be somebody like that. He gonna hit their ass for $100 million guaranteed.
Oh no, he's got that nice crib out in Minnesota, man. He might stay
out of there, man.
They're showing on quarterback. My man had rolling hills in his crib.
Listen,
it's crazy.
If you don't know, we call Kirk the money man on this podcast. Kirk is about his bread. If you like it or not,
always about his bread.
He's about his bread.
Don't let that Bible shit fool you.
Yes,
Kurt's out here counting his chickens.
Yes, no question.
Daily, him and his wife counting money.
Before we get out of here, anything else? Big Nick to quick.
Nah, man. Excited for tomorrow. Break down some of this great action that we saw in week 1. Let's get off the Bears.
Yeah. Make sure y'all lock in with us tomorrow. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago Bears are 0-1 to start the season, taking L 38-20 to the Packers at home. Absolutely a pathetic performance. We'll see how they bounce back in week 2.